George, you want to tell a little bit about this, about the water oven? It's at the swimming pool in Hancock Park.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, there is no subtitle. So Swamiji decided he wanted to do a small puja. And in the house where we were staying, there was a jacuzzi. And when you turned the jacuzzi on, the water would swirl around. And we didn't know where Swamiji wanted to sit to do the puja, but he sat right there and he did all the offerings. And you'll see in this video at the end, it's like Shakti Chakra. All of the offerings swirl around in this beautiful chakra. You can just play the video, and it's pretty self-explanatory.
Shivaya Namah Om, Shivaya Namah Om, Shivaya Namah Om, Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah Om, Shivaya Namah Om, Shivaya Namah Om, Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah Om, Shivaya Namah Om, Shivaya Namah Om, Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah Om, Shivaya Namah Om, Shivaya Namah Om, Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah Om, Shivaya Namah Om, Shivaya Namah Om, Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah Om, Shivaya Namah Om, Shivaya Namah Om, Namah Shivaya.
And what about
Soap water, soap is not soap is. Take that. Take it. That's all.
In that puja, went for about an hour. And what's interesting is that jacuzzi spilled into a swimming pool, and at one stage when Swamiji wanted to do a havan, somebody bought a little jar of Ganges water, and they offered it to Swamiji to use for his havan puja that he was going to do. And Swamiji said, no, pour it into the swimming pool. He said, that's more pure than the Ganga. And that was after he had done that puja. That was a very short clip. It went on for quite a long time, and there were many mantras recited. And whatever Swamiji wanted us to recite, we would just recite that. And,
Yeah, it's over an hour, George, in different
yes.
parts. Yeah.
Remember it intimately. Sorry that I'm not very camera aware, so I realized I had my back to the camera there for a while, but
It's,
that's okay.
I think it was all new to everyone with the new videos and everything. So yeah, really nice. So should we go into the second one, which is at Kelmore Street, where Swamiji's sitting there and decides to teach at a teachable moment? You can't see
Yes.
the people on the other side, and Ranju is on the right of Swamiji, but you can't see her there. We can see them in other ways. But this is another lady. I don't know her name.
Om Shri Rameshwaracharya Krita Shri Guru Stuti Guru Shaktir Jayadeka Madruhub Pravikasikam Surup Gopana Vyagra Shiva Shaktir Jadayayam. Victory meaning, victory to be to that Guru Shakti which unfolds itself in true form and conquers the Maic manifestation which always tend to hide Lord Shiva from us. Second verse. Yasya prasadat aham ishwarosmi yasya prasadat aham eva sarvam yasya prasadat aham eva sarvas tasmai namah Shri Gurave Shivaya. Its meaning. Salutations to the Supreme Master Shiva, by whose grace I have become one with Shambhu, the beneficent one, Ishvara, the ruler of the universe and the universe, ruler of universe and the universe. He is ruler and ruled out also.
So this was just a short excerpt just to share how many times while he was here in the States he would come downstairs and share some teachings. George or Dad, do you know what that piece was from?
Yeah, it's the very first and second verses of Guru Stuti, which was penned down by the man who came to, you've heard the story before, he came to Kashmir to debate with Swamiji. And after he'd had a cup of tea, he just did pranams to Swamiji and said, okay, you win. And he wrote a text called the Guru Stuti, which is hymns of praise to Shiva and to Swamiji as a manifestation of Shiva. And it's still recited today by devotees in all the Swamiji's ashrams. Denise and John met that man, Ramesh Raja. He was a very famous pundit from Varanasi. They were there when he came.
So this third one is Swamiji at not sure which house, but he has food, he has prasad, offerings, and tikka for people just to see the smaller interactions between Swamiji and the people that came to visit.
You live on this. It's pretty loud, as you said.
That puja was actually the puja for Swamiji's birthday, which was performed at Kelmore Street.
I want pleasure of Paramartha. Paramarthavatam.
Yeah, that was on the occasion of Swamiji's birthday, and it was so casual. He did it in the kitchen floor, Denise. You remember? He said no formality, and he set up all the talis and everything, and he performed as the priest of his own birthday celebration, which is always a big function in Kashmir.
So this fourth piece is Mother Alice that used to come and visit Swamiji in Kashmir. She came to visit Swamiji at the at our home, I think when we were in Kelmore or the other place, I have no idea. But it's just them sitting and Swamiji talking about how he used to have a motorcycle when he was quite young with a side seat. And I'm sure Mom, Dad, or George will be able to add to this, but it's just a little 2-minute excerpt of some sweetness.
I'll ask American babus, shopkeepers, to give me sidecar. Do you know sidecar?
Yeah. I make motorcycle sidecar.
I would drive in sidecars on a sidecar. Mother actually.
Try not to think about that now.
Well, if there's an Escaragado with a lot of
Me and you.
Yes, he would love it. He loves motorcycles.
No, then I will sidecar. I'll be your wife.
Pause that for a second, Claudia, just for a moment. It's just because Swamiji just said playfully that he would have his motorcycle or his car, as he called it, and have his sidecar on the side, and Mother Alice could come along with him on the sidecar. And anyways, just wanted to add that part. So let us continue. Thank you, Claudia.
He does not shoot. She will drive and I will be.
You used to drive Mataka in sidecar?
Yes, sure.
Is that right?
Can I take your towel? Can I take this now?
Brahmanose mukhamase Rajanya krita uru tadasya vaisham Padmyam Shudro Ajayadam. You should, Parabhairava, a great body. Prasanne Manasi Swamin Kim Tam Pravishasi Kimu Tat Praveshat Prasidetat Yedidola Yetijanam.
Would you like to add anything to that, Mom, Dad, or George, of Swamiji when he would just be completely quiet for a good amount of time and everyone would be sitting around, or he would start singing bhajans, or what would you like to add to this before we go to the Kashmir part? You have to unmute yourself, Mom, if you speak, though.
He'd go in trance, right?
Hmm?
When he would be like that during those times, he would be in the state of samadhi. Is that correct?
Yes. And it was
And
just so blissful to be around him. It was just something I had never experienced before.
and just to put that last thing in context, I'm just going to share my screen for a moment. Let me see here. Okay. Swamiji had a motorcycle and he used to drive his master around, and it looked just like this. It was, you got to imagine, this was, he got his motorcycle in 1916 or 17. Sorry, in 1925. One of the British people that were there had left this motorcycle with a sidecar, and there's a picture somewhere, I'm still looking for it, of Swamiji riding with his master, and they have those goggles on. You know, there's all, so his model was probably a little bit later than this one, but you can imagine. And Swamiji said his master used to love to go, and he would go as fast as he could within safety, because you remember the roads in Kashmir in those days, in the 20s and 30s and 40s, were very poor. But that's why somebody brought up this idea of, I'll get a sidecar, I'll get a motorbike here and a sidecar, and you can ride in the sidecar. It was a very sweet memory.
Thank you, George. That gives a good visual. So this last part, would you all, because you all were with Swamiji in Kashmir the last month of his life, would you like to mention just a little bit before we show this short piece?
Say that again, Shauna.
We're going to be showing the piece of Swamiji in Kashmir. I think it was in August, and he left his body in September. And so we're showing some pieces here, Mom, that we begin with you sitting in the bedroom with a fan fanning him. Is there anything you would like to share about the experience in Kashmir for the last month?
It had been interesting. We were in Swamiji's bedroom, and I'm massaging him, and he was just in this divine state. He would just go in, and it was almost like, he was drunk with, God consciousness, with that bliss of God consciousness.
And I remember there the doctors, because there's a lot of doctors coming to see him in those days, because in many ways he wasn't well, and then it was a month before he left his body, and so they were coming to see him, but they noted that that even though he seemed to be gone, he internally they could see that he was always really there. He wasn't like unconscious, like when somebody else would be gone or gone to and become unconscious, I guess we could say it, and he's unwell. He was totally there, always there. They thought somehow they could tell that. I don't know. It was surprising for them, I remember.
Well, let's play the 4-minute clip we have of a few different pieces that Claudia put together last night. This is his bedroom, Swamiji's bedroom. His photos and
Swamiji with his mother.
Swamiji's ashram, for those of you who haven't been yet. Or his home, pretty much.
Devotees were, you can see that man it was in the back, cutting down some of the green things that had died, and just being very
Swamiji's playful side.
he was giving his blessing to the devotees.
Button? All buttons? John, step closer.
There's John. Yeah.
I'm closer. Huh? Can I bow down? Huh? This is the Viking job, huh? Huh? Super nice. Now we have Larry.
That is just super beautiful. Yeah.
I mean, you have to remember that Swamiji left his body about a month later in Delhi. But leaving the body for someone like Swamiji wasn't really leaving the body, because 2 days after he left his body, he went to Hardwar and arranged accommodation for all of us coming from Delhi to immerse his ashes in the Ganga. Because there was no place where we could find a place, but on the morning of the day that we were arriving in the afternoon, Swamiji went there early morning and went to an ashram, fully dressed like Swamiji in his farron and went in a red cap, because the guy recognized what he was wearing. And he said, my devotees are coming this afternoon from Delhi, 2 busloads, so have all the rooms ready and have tea ready. And we arrived around 3 o'clock and tea was ready at 4. So when we say Swamiji left his body, from our level, we don't really still know what that means. John, anything to add? How that was a good shower.
What a blessing for me, huh?
Yes.
It's a remarkable story, that story, George, of Swamiji coming in, arranging all the rooms and having everything ready. So when you arrived, because the rooms were already full, right? Wasn't that the idea that all the places, accommodations were all full, and yet this landlord was told that he should keep this number of rooms ready and separate, and that his devotees were coming, and he didn't really know who that person was, but somehow I think he experienced the power of him, and so he did that. He kept the rooms ready, and everything was there.
Yeah, see, we didn't know, but Swamiji actually, about 2 havans before he left this world, 1.5 years or 2 years before, because his preparation for his Mahasamadhi, his master's Mahasamadhi, was a very big deal. It was a month of preparation and the function itself. And that was because his master, and he used to do it twice a year, but there's a period of time in the year which is called Pitrupaksh, where if the person leaves their body during that time, you only have to do 1 havan. So one day, coming from the havan, Swamiji just casually said, don't worry, I'll make it easy for you when I leave this world. And that's all he said, I'll make it easy for you. And he left his body on the 4th day of what's called Pitrupaksh. So all around the world, they only have one Mahasamadhi havan to prepare for Swamiji. But because it was in that time, thousands of people go to Haridwar or to Kashi, to Varanasi, to immerse the ashes of people that have died, but also to remember their deceased ancestors. So it's a time when it's very, very difficult to find accommodation. But Swamiji went and just found one place right near the Ghat, only within walking distance. And when we got there and put the 2 big urns of Swamiji's ashes on a table and put the picture up, somebody asked the sannyasin, the old sannyasin in charge of that, said, how did you have this place ready for us? And he said, oh, well, he came in the morning, and he pointed to Swamiji's picture. He came in the morning through the gate there, and he told me my devotees are coming. And somebody commented, but these are his ashes. And the old sannyasin looked and said, yes, you people wouldn't understand this kind of thing. He looked. So that was the nature of Swamiji.
The children that were present there, they felt his presence more than anybody. They felt that he was there. Swamiji hasn't gone away. That's what they say. He's fine. He's with us. They had the purity of mind to, experience that.
Yes. And Swamiji had a way of doing things to make you be somewhere just from an impulse in your own mind. And although everything was being handled by the Indian devotees, because Swamiji said, when I leave this world, your job will be done, and now the Kashmiris will take care of everything, the funeral, so we were all standing there by the Ganga, and I was fully clothed. And the rest went down to their underwear or their thing to get in the water. And I just got this impulse to move right over to the edge. And as I did, one guy let go. The Ganga runs really, really rapidly there. People drown very easy if they're non-swimmers. And one of Swamiji's devotees, Kamal, he's not a good swimmer and he's a real devotee, but he just jumped in the water and he missed his grabbing onto anybody and he just started to get washed away. And I dived in straight away. I knew he was going to be gone, and that would be a little bit of a downplay on Swamiji's cremation. I dived in, grabbed him by the wrist and pulled him over to the side and grabbed onto a chain and then sort of pushed him back out of the water. And as I did that, I just turned really quickly and look, and I swear in my mind's eye, but I saw it, Swamiji was hovering over the Ganga on the other side, just looking back and watching everything. And I just got this flash and then it disappeared. And I just went, thank you, Swamiji, because he did that often to me during the years that I was there, just put me in some situation where it was very important to be exactly there. And that night, one of the ladies, who's also a very close devotee, she said to me, did you see Swamiji when the ashes were being put? I said, why do you ask? And she said, well, I saw him. And I said, well, what was he wearing? Because when I saw him, he was wearing a red beanie like this, a very red beanie, one that he used to like to wear. And she said he was wearing his farron with a red kantop, a red beanie. And I said, yeah, you saw Swamiji. And that was just the nature of his play. It was no big deal for him to appear or disappear, but he was a sticker to make sure that everything that happened perfectly. And there was his own ashes floating down the Ganges, and he was looking at the ashes of what he used to call Swami Lakshmanjoo, but he was now Parabhairava. So, that was that.
And so that's a perfect way to almost end of what you shared, George. Excuse me. For Mom, the day Swamiji left his body, when you all were in the house and you were in the downstairs floor and Swamiji's body was in the upstairs floor and you were lying there, what did you see flying in the ceiling or flying around that were there to welcome Swamiji into the heavens?
Yes. Well, Swamiji was just lying there. He was, he had passed away, and he seemed like he was there. You really felt his vibration, and so I was sitting with some of the ladies, a little bit away from Swamiji, and I looked up and I saw these divine beings going around the room and then around Swamiji and around and around. And there was a lady sitting next to me, and I said, are you seeing what I'm seeing? And she kept going, yes, but I don't think she saw, and there were what were the various divine beings that were going to
Krishna was there, and they had the
Krishna,
Arjuna, and then the
Arjuna.
chariots were there, and the horse.
Yeah, and yeah, the chariots and everything.
Like
just going
ethereal beings, you said, with like flowing clothes and just really beautiful, just going around in circles, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And they were doing it for a very long time, and it was so hard for me to believe that I was seeing what I was seeing, but I was seeing it, and I I don't know if anybody else did, but it was really powerful. The children there did. They had the purity of mind to see him going around and around.
I thought that was a perfect way to end today's session. George, where are you? Claudia, where are you? Claudia, too. Join. Thank you all.
Thank you all for coming. God bless you, one and all. Thank you.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing you on Sunday and next week again. Jai Gurudev.
We
Jai
start.
Gurudev.
No. Jai Gurudev, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste Rudra Rupete, Ore Jyot